What happens when one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses finds herself in a heated exchange that spirals completely out of control on live television? The tension in the studio was electric the moment Sandra Bullock walked onto that stage. You could feel it had that quiet, unspoken energy that tells you something unexpected is about to happen. Her smile was bright, her poise effortless, and the audience greeted her with warm applause. It was supposed to be a simple, friendly appearance on the viewer, light conversation about her latest film. But what unfolded next left everyone stunned. At first, everything seemed perfectly fine. Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, and Sarah Haynes welcomed her with enthusiasm. They joked, they laughed, they talked about Sandra's character and how she prepared for the emotionally demanding role. Sandra, as always, was gracious and articulate, giving thoughtful answers about her creative process and the themes behind the movie. But then things started to shift. It began subtly. Joy's tone changed, just slightly curious, but with an edge. She leaned forward and asked Sandra about a particular scene in the film, one that had already sparked some discussion online for its sensitive subject matter. Sandra explained the creative intent, describing how the story aimed to shed light on an uncomfortable truth rather than exploit it. She talked about consulting with people from the communities represented in the film, about working closely with the writers to ensure authenticity and respect. Joy nodded, but her eyes said something else. Then she asked the question that changed everything. "Do you really think it was your place to tell that story, Sandra?" The studio went quiet. You could practically hear the audience inhale at once. Sandra blinked, surprised, but she stayed calm. "I think as actors, that's what we do," she said. "We step into lives that aren't our own. That's how stories are told, through empathy, research, and care." Joy tilted her head. "But there are actors from those communities who could have told it from personal experience. Don't you think Hollywood keeps handing those stories to people like you while the people who actually live them get overlooked?" The warmth in Sandra's face faded slightly. She crossed her legs, hands clasped together. "I understand that perspective," she said evenly. "But I also believe storytelling should challenge us to understand experiences beyond our own. That's not taking something away, it's sharing something." Joy didn't back down. "Intent doesn't always equal impact," she said. "You might mean well, but that doesn't erase the imbalance in who gets to tell which stories. Hollywood has a long history of that." At that, Whoopi shifted in her seat, glancing toward the producers. Sunny looked down at her notes. Sarah tried to jump in with something lighter. A quick save. "Sandra, what drew you most to this role?" But Joy wasn't finished. She went on, her voice sharp but controlled. "It's easy to talk about empathy when you've never had to fight for representation yourself. When doors have always been open to you. I mean, you've had access to opportunities most actors could only dream of." Sandra's expression hardened. "With all due respect, Joy," she said, "you don't know what doors I've had to open or what challenges I've faced. You don't know what I've fought for." Joy raised an eyebrow. "Oh, come on, Sandra. You've been America's sweetheart for 30 years. People love you. You're successful, talented, respected. I just think it's fair to ask if you've ever thought about how your success comes at the expense of others' chances." That was it, a line that cracked the polished veneer of the interview. Sandra leaned forward slightly, her tone lower now. "I came here to talk about a film I care deeply about," she said. "Not to be interrogated about whether I have the right to do my job." Joy smirked. "I'm not interrogating you, I'm asking questions people at home are asking." "Isn't that what I'm supposed to do?" Sandra shook her head. "There's a difference between asking questions and making accusations. You're not asking for understanding. You're pushing a narrative." Whoopi tried to cut in. "Ladies, let's all take a breath here." Sandra held up a hand. "I can handle this, Whoopi. I don't need to be rescued." The audience murmured. Joy's face flushed slightly. "Rescued?" she said. "I'm just having a real conversation, Sandra. If you can't handle being challenged, Maybe you shouldn't be taking on controversial roles. Sandra's voice was calm but tight. I can handle any question you want. What I can't handle is being disrespected under the pretense of social awareness. You're not starting a dialogue, you're setting a trap. That hit a nerve. Joy's jaw clenched. Oh, that's rich, she said, because I'm sure it's so hard for you to be challenged. Sitting on top of the Hollywood mountain. You've never had your voice silenced, never been excluded. Don't lecture me on traps. Sandra's eyes narrowed. You think privilege only looks one way? You sit here every day judging people for an hour. You tear apart politicians, celebrities, whoever you want, and nobody calls you out for it. You talk about accountability, but what you really mean is control. The air in the studio went heavy. Joy leaned forward, her voice low now. Don't you dare lecture me about privilege. I've worked my entire life for this. I've been fired, boycotted, called every name you can imagine, and I'm still here. You've been adored. You've been protected. Sandra let out a sharp laugh, not amused, just tired. Protected? Every project I take gets dissected under a microscope. Every choice I make is criticized. The difference is, I create something. I put myself out there. You sit here and comment on other people's work for a living. Joy stood up. The audience gasped. Are you saying what I do doesn't matter? She said. Sandra rose too. I'm saying what you do isn't the same thing. You tear people down for sport. That's not journalism, Joy. That's entertainment. Joy's voice cracked slightly with anger. I've done real journalism. I've covered real issues that actually matter to people, not just make-believe stories for the box office. Sandra's tone was ice cold now. You want to talk about real issues? Fine. But what you're doing isn't helping. You're turning every discussion into a spectacle. You're not fighting for progress, you're fighting for attention. Joy's hands were trembling. You have no idea what I fight for, she said. This isn't about me. This is about using your platform responsibly. Sandra didn't back down. Then why does it feel so personal? Joy's lips parted, but no words came out for a moment. Sandra went on. If this was really about representation, you could have had a respectful discussion, but you didn't want a discussion. You wanted a moment. A viral clip. Congratulations, you've got one. The audience gasped again. Whoopi's eyes darted between them. Okay, let's just Joy snapped. Don't tell me to calm down, Whoopi. This matters. Sandra said quietly. No, Joy. What matters to you right now is being right. That's when Joy's voice broke through the silence. You are so full of yourself. You think because you donate to charity, because you smile for cameras, that makes you untouchable. Sandra replied, number. It makes me human, which is apparently not enough for you. The tension was unbearable now. The other hosts were frozen. Joy pointed a finger at her. This right here, this is exactly what privilege looks like. Walking off when you don't like the questions. Refusing accountability. Sandra started removing her microphone. I'm not walking off because I don't like the questions. I'm walking off because this isn't a conversation anymore. It's an ambush. Joy scoffed. Oh, please. You're proving my point. Sandra looked directly at her. No, Joy. Privilege is sitting in the chair, saying whatever you want, to whoever you want, without consequence. You call it bravery, but it's cruelty disguised as conviction. The studio was dead silent. Even the crew had stopped moving. Joy's face was crimson now. You're embarrassing yourself, she said. Everyone watching can see you unraveling. Sandra smiled faintly, sad, tired. Maybe they'll see something else, she said. Maybe they'll see someone standing up for herself instead of letting someone else define her. Joy shook her head. You've done nothing but deflect. You're twisting everything I say to make yourself look like the victim. Sandra said, you keep saying you're fighting for what's right, but all you've done is attack. You've taken an important conversation and turned it into a performance. Joy fired back. You're the performer here, not me. Sandra took a breath, steady and final. Maybe, but at least I know when the curtain needs to close. With that, she placed her microphone on the table, turned toward the audience, and said, thank you for having me. Then she walked off. The studio erupted into chaos. Whoopi called for a commercial break, but it was too late. Other cameras had already caught everything. Joy sat back down, her face still flushed. "Unbelievable," she muttered. Sarah exhaled softly, shaking her head. Sunny whispered, "That was a broken bar something." Whoopi looked straight into the camera, her voice calm but waited. "We'll be right back." The screen faded to black, but the internet didn't. Within hours, the clip spread everywhere: Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, TikTok. People were divided. Some said Joy had every right to ask those questions, that Sandra had shown her true colors when she couldn't handle the heat. Others said Joy had crossed a line, that she'd ambushed a guest under the guise of accountability. Memes exploded. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. Think pieces popped up overnight. Was Joy Behar right to challenge Sandra Bullock? A broken bar. When interviews go too far, a broken bar. The View just had its most explosive moment yet. Meanwhile, neither woman said a word publicly for days. The silence only fueled the fire. Behind the scenes, reports swirled that producers were in crisis mode, trying to control the fallout. Some insiders said Joy refused to apologize. Others said Sandra's team was furious but determined to stay composed. But one thing was clear: the conversation had already escaped their control. And maybe, in a strange way, that's what made it unforgettable. Because sometimes the moments that weren't planned are the ones that break the script. They are the ones that reveal who people really are. Sandra Bullock didn't go on The View to start a fight. Joy Behar didn't expect to ignite one. But in a single, unscripted moment, two women from very different corners of the entertainment world collided. And what happened next will be talked about for years. Not because of who won, but because everyone watching saw a raw, unfiltered glimpse of what happens when conviction meets ego, when conversation turns into confrontation, and when respect finally gives way to pride.